Hey everyone, TRTT, thank you for coming back. I assume if you're back for the fourth video, you are enjoying the kind of content that we're putting out over here. We're going to be making things get bigger. We're going to be growing. We're going to be doing things better over here. So what we're going to be doing in this video is discussing a video from Kevin Samuels to where he's interviewing a young lady. The title of this video is called Making Men in Your Future Pay for Your Past Mistakes. So I can kind of think of a couple things that's going to be going on in that world. A lot of people like to make mistakes and then they will hold that against other people in the future for some reason, especially like, cheating and things like that. If you have an issue with that in your past, people have an issue to not trust future partners because they might get hurt. But we're going to jump right into this video and see what Kevin Samuels has to say about it.
Can you hear me?
I could hear you before. How old are you?
I'm 25.
All right. So what's up with all these backup plans?
I believe that women have a lot of trust issues, so they feel like they have to have a backup plan. They don't feel like they can trust a man from their previous relationship or their past.
Are you in that group?
Oh, I don't believe in it, but I have did that, so I'm going off what experience that I did.
So making a man in your present pay for the mistakes of your past equals no future.
Yeah, I like that simple calculation. So basically she says she used to do it. Hopefully she's gotten that taken care of, put in some work and been able to figure out how to get over this issue. So when you're dating somebody, I think communication is always key for most people. You need to be able to talk and get to know the person. And if you find out they've had some red flags and things like that in the history, you have two options. You can just be like, nah, I'm done with this. It's not something I'm interested in, which people should respect. And I think that's more likely the case if after you've done some issues or you've done some things in your past that are questionable, if the person asks how do I know you're not going to do that now? If you can't give a legitimate answer to what you've done in your future or recently in your present to fix that issue, therapy, talk to somebody, but to just say, oh, I've taken care of that, I'll never do it again, that's kind of hard for people to understand that. It's really hard to grasp. You're going to have to put in some work if you're going to want the outcomes that you want. And those outcomes are going to be hopefully good, but the outcome that you're going to get if you do nothing is you're going to get nothing.
True.
So let me flip the script. So if a man had issues from a previous relationship, it would be okay for half the men to take that out on their current girlfriend?
No, I don't believe in that. That's why I said when I did it, it was more out of out of anger, more or less.
Have you got that addressed now?
Yeah, I'm single, so I don't have to worry about that.
Still ain't getting it addressed. Just because you're single doesn't mean it's addressed.
Yes, I do.
You want to be married?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So what have you done to address the situation?
Just a lot of communication.
With who?
Well, with a guy that I'm currently talking to, but.
With that answer, it doesn't seem like, in my opinion, she's done any work. So saying, hey, I need better communication is good. However, if you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to communicate. So saying that or repeating that doesn't change the fact that your communication is not the best. So being able to communicate with somebody isn't going to fix your underlying issues of hurt or pain. So if you have an issue with trust in your old relationship and you move into a new relationship, you might think that, hey, if I talk to this person and we communicate good and we keep our communication open and everything, that's great. Well, that person doesn't know that you might have an issue with cell phones or anything. So that person is really going to have to conform to what your idea of trust is, which is kind of not fair if it's not on the same page. So if the other person feels that I should be able to do this and that, and it doesn't break any boundaries of a relationship, and it's just things that you personally desire, it's going to be kind of a gray area and could have some tension and some animosity moving forward. It's easy for a person to feel that I'm letting somebody control me when you're doing everything that a person wants just to make them happy and make them feel that they can trust you, especially if you're not doing anything. You're innocent. I haven't done anything, but I got to do this, this, and this. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's kind of sketchy.
No. It's just, we're just friends.
Okay, so this is where it kind of starts to go off the rails.
Okay.
You said you're single.
Yeah.
But then there's a guy you're kind of talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Modern women have so many different damn ways to define a relationship.
Yeah. Talking,
I need to
dating,
stop
friends.
that. Number one.
It's too much. Either you're dating or
But
you're
number
not.
two, you have not done any work.
I had to work on myself for the.
She's right. She does need to work on herself. But how are you going to work on yourself? If you have an issue with abuse of certain substances, and then you say, I'm going to get clean, there takes a level of help and a level of support that you necessarily cannot do by yourself. And yeah, that's kind of extreme compared to a relationship or you having bad communication or trust issues. But to that other person, that's not so extreme. So if I dated somebody who's had an issue of being able to have a lack of control over different things in their life, I would like to know that if I'm going to pursue a relationship with them, that they're seeking the proper help and they're doing everything they can currently to keep themselves on that path. So therapy will help. However, you have to make sure you continue to put in the work. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to get therapy, just be able to check it off the box. But then as soon as we start talking, it's clear that therapy didn't help you out at all.
So I had to work on myself to understand, like, hey, it's not my problem that this person don't want to be with me. It's time to leave. So I had to understand that when someone doesn't really want to be in
How do you do the work on yourself?
Yeah.
Just not being in a relationship, working on myself by
okay.
understanding what am I doing wrong.
But how? Okay,
in order to,
you were in a relationship.
mm-hmm.
You needed, and you had a backup plan. You're out of the relationship. How do you do the work?
Oh, you're saying that if I would have just stayed in it.
No, I'm saying you're out of the. What I'm saying is you're not. I'm trying to understand what you classify as work. You said I got to work on myself. How?
To me, it just seems like she thinks that working on herself means getting into another relationship and trying to not be what she was in the last relationship. That's moving forward and moving on, but that's not necessarily putting in any work. Moving like that will probably just get you in another failed relationship. You need to be able to self-reflect and think of how I get these issues taken care of. If you need anger management, it's ideal that you say, oh my gosh, I need to just stop working with my temper and actually start communicating with somebody who's going to hold you accountable for your issues. And as well as, set these boundaries in place that hey, this is one of the boundaries that I can't cross. This typically leads me into a certain area. There's going to have to be a level of accountability that's there. So if your anger issues are the reason you got separated, maybe when you have a new relationship and you tell them, hey, yeah, they said I was upset. Were you upset? And I was like, well, I kind of was upset. But what you can't do and say, well, I'm always upset because she did this and she did that, she did this. That is definitely given a reason to why you were upset, but that's taking the accountability about what you could have done differently as well in this relationship to make your anger issues a lot less. So say, yeah, I used to get mad and all that and the other, but what I decided to do was go ahead and talk to somebody, got a little bit of therapy, saw a person once a week for so long, and just made sure that if I ever encountered a situation like that again, even though I can't control another person, I'm able to handle that situation different, making the better version of me moving forward.
By understanding what are you doing wrong in the relationship. I had to figure out what am I.
So you
figure it out
after the relationship is over. You asked and figured out what you did wrong.
But you need to do some work.
I had to realize what I was doing because it's like this. It's 50-50. It's not always about the.
Do you make room for the possibility that you're not qualified to fix yourself?
Possible.
You're saying that I need to go do therapist.
I don't understand. Okay, how do you position heal thyself? How are you going to fix something while it's going on with you?
I did do that, but I feel like I didn't need it after
You did do what?
Like, you can go through Kaiser and do a therapy.
You went to a therapy?
Yeah,
How long
but I
did you
didn't
go?
do it that only for a month. It didn't. I mean,
Thank you.
I just said her.
See, stop, right there. Thank you. I'm gonna say something to you, and y'all don't. You guys think y'all think too much of yourselves.
You think I think too much of myself?
I said, well, listen.
Okay.
Listen.
You're saying women. Okay.
Yes, you're not the professional. You have issues. We all have issues. But yet you wouldn't sit down with somebody in less than a month of talking to a trained person and say, well, I'm not doing it. I can do it myself. Where else in the world can you do something like that? To where you can sit down with somebody who's trained in something and say, I can do it myself. You don't have the training, you don't have the patient history, you don't have the experience. Where else can you do something like that?
Nowhere else.
Right. But then you're going to take it to a human being. You're going to take it to a man. And you end up giving him this that you.
Yeah, I can completely understand with that. I never really thought about a person having a self-inflated ego or thinking that they are a lot more than what they are, but I've run into people like that. Why do I need to go to a therapist? Why do I need to go somebody? I can be able to handle this. You were not licensed to do this. You have not been educated. You have not dealt with anyone really but yourself in your small circle, to where this therapist might have dealt with hundreds of people who are having similar issues and know different techniques to help you through what you're doing. So yeah, a lot of times people have self-inflated ego. It's the same when people get grossly out of weight. Hire a professional trainer, hire a dietitian. Obviously, when left to your own devices, you weren't able to make the best decisions to be able to get yourself back or keep yourself from being here. How about we get some help with some people who are professional to help motivate us to be able to do what we're supposed to do, help keep us on track, and help us move from point A to point B. It's not a prideful thing, but a lot of people just don't like to hear that I wasn't able to do this by myself and that I needed help. For some reason, like, therapy and help has become a bad word to people in relationships.
Working on. See, especially in our community, black people, black women in this case, you're far too proud. You don't want to sit down and have somebody tell you about yourself.
No, I understand that I have to allow someone to tell me if I'm doing something
Then
wrong.
why don't you go to another? Okay, why don't you go to another therapist then?
I just thought that when I understand what you were saying, because I feel like I already know what I have to work on within myself.
Thank you.
So once
See?
I got,
listen, how arrogant that sounds.
it sounds arrogant.
I feel like I already know what's wrong with me. If
once she told me that, that's when I realized, okay, what I need to work on within myself.
See, it's a shortcut mentality. I'm going to show up, you're going to tell me what's wrong, and then I'm going to go home and fix it on my own. Hey, I'm going to show up and say, hey, what's wrong with me? They say, hey, Kenny, you need to change your diet. Okay, we're good. I got it. I can do it here for myself. And you always cannot. And especially when it comes to relationships and interacting with other people, there's a lot that goes on that people need help with. I mean, I support people getting therapy. I recommend getting therapy. Nothing wrong with sitting down, talking to somebody and letting a person give you some feedback, but you just got to make sure that that therapy that you're going to is in the same kind of direction to where you're going. So if you want to go to a Christian therapist or not, if you want to go to a relationship therapist or marriage counselor, just make sure it's tailored to what you want to go to, what you're wanting. Make sure it's kind of tailored to the outcomes that you want, and make sure the person who is doing the therapy has a track record. You can't just say, I'm going to have therapy and I'm going to go talk to my mom. And that does not always work. And if a person doesn't have any background in what they're doing, that can just be somebody else knowing your business. And once again, it's going to be something on you. I went to a therapist once, nothing happened. Now I got to go somewhere else. I don't want to keep going to these therapists. They don't know what they're doing. Just because the person in the mirror didn't put forth the actual work to get an appropriate therapist.
What am I saying wrong?
I'm just listening to you.
No,
I'm listening to you say that a woman said you have this. Like, oh, okay, I got it now.
No, I'm not saying that I'm just up to here now. I'm just saying that once I understand, I have to now figure out.
Why didn't you stay in therapy?
Yeah, you should have just stayed. That person is there to help you.
I'm going. It's not. I don't have an excuse to not keep going.
So you didn't put any work. So my opinion is, if you're dating somebody with this and they've had these issues of trust, and then you find out that, hey, you haven't really gotten any help, that's where your decision comes. I don't believe that in a new relationship or in relationships. I believe when you're in marriages and when things like that and you're connected and there's investment and then there's vows, because the vows don't say, hey, for sickness and health, for rich or poor, better or worse, and if they don't get therapy. The vows don't say anything like that. Once you're vowed, I think that you should be committed. However, when you're dating, this is your opportunity to kind of weed out what you do and what you don't want. And I personally, if a person has significant trust issues and I hear this, well, you don't know how to fix it. You don't know what you're doing. And this conversation could easily go south, or you can just listen to the conversation and know in your head that, there won't be a second date. That's just the option. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a date number 2 after date number 1. There might be things that they don't like, and they might like the fact that I'm going to be very direct and be like, so doesn't really feel like you got any help. I mean, if you feel like you got the issue resolved, fine. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I got it resolved, but then I just wouldn't go on any more dates because I'm not going to be dealing with that from a situation that I was not even present in.
Okay, so you had an issue. You at least decided to go. And you did what so many women do, especially so many black women do. You quit. Yeah, and then you wonder why stuff doesn't work. That'd be like going to a personal trainer and he's saying, okay, here's a workout plan. Oh, okay, I got it from here. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it sounds really stupid to do.
Yeah, the personal trainer might give you that workout plan and it's going to be your basic instructions for what you need to do, but you need to work on your form. You need to work on your diet. You need to work on a lot of things. That personal trainer is going to help you be consistent and keep you accountable in what you're doing. It's more than just a workout plan. It's more than just saying, hey, here we go. Let's say I've been in counseling at one point in time in my life. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But knowing that every Thursday I was going to have to get on to the Zoom meeting or get onto the conference call at, 2:00, definitely it's a level of accountability and it keeps you there. And, if you're honest, just be honest. And if you put in the work, that work will help you moving forward.
So I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong at all.
And my point is,
to go back.
My point is there's a man on the other end of you eventually.
Right.
And if you haven't done the work, you're going to end up likely repeating the same problems.
Yep.
Because
highly likely.
Because you haven't done the work.
Okay.
That's it.
All so what do you recommend?
I recommend you go sit down with a therapist.
Go back to therapy.
It depends on what the animating issues are. As long as there's nothing clinical. But usually at least 6 months.
6 months, okay.
And that means if you go every other week or 3 times a month. But most people switch therapists, and like there are people who will either go 2 or 3 sessions and stop going. Mm-hmm. You can't get through anything because here's the thing: you'll get through one part of it, and then you'll start. The issues that are really animating, the real issues, are much deeper. Yeah. You're just scratching the surface. It's like anything else. So appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. This is why
let's see what he has to say.
In particular, let me talk to black women in particular. In our community, in our culture, we have such a stigma on therapy.
It's like a cuss word.
Black women in this case, we've been told that if you go to therapy, you're crazy, or you'll pray it away. No, you can't go sit down with somebody who went to school for something, who sees people, and say, oh, well, you have anxiety issues. Okay, I got it. So you're going to go do what? You're going to go read a book? You're going to go watch a video? Do the work yourself? No. So appreciate everybody's hitting me up on the badges. We got a lot of folks coming in.
All right, everyone. So I believe that was an accurate representation of why therapy is needed and the issues that you can run into in a relationship. So, ladies, if you're one of the ones who have had an issue with your relationships and it's always, guys this, guys that, I can't get a good relationship. I want to be in a relationship, but I cannot secure one. First is self-reflect. Everybody in the relationship is not wrong. Self-reflect. The other person in the relationship is not always wrong. If you've had 6 failed relationships, the common denominator in that relationship is you. If I've had 6 failed relationships, the common denominator is myself. Figure out what's going on. Ask those people if you're still on common grounds. Why didn't we work out? And not in a way to where you're going to feel as if, or you want them to think that you're trying to come back, but just to understand what happened, what's going on. And if you're a bad community, be prepared to self-reflect and not be offended. Obviously, it's not going to be good. If it was good news, you'd be married. You would, if you were great to be with, you wouldn't be on the market. But if you're still on the market, there's some things maybe that you could self-reflect and check out. And therapy wouldn't hurt anything. So I recommend everyone getting therapy and at least talking to somebody and help you put you in a better position. What happens is if you have if you're doing the same thing, I always do this, I always cater to my man, I always do this, I always do that, and they don't care about me, they don't this. The men are trash. If that's your mentality, maybe it's because you keep doing the exact same thing from relationship to relationship to relationship that men don't want. So first, figure out what men want. Second is get yourself some therapy. Third is put yourself back out there and find you a good relationship and get married moving forward and focus on understanding that the family is what's important, not the job, not the workplace, and not the newest trends and things in life. If you enjoyed this kind of content, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out one of these two videos right up here.